Good morning, good afternoon. It's so lovely to be at the symposium this year. Um, my name is Moyosola Abbas. I'm a technical advisor for strategic information at FHI 360, and today I'll be presenting the work we've done in establishing electronic systems for data verification and improvement within our PEPFAR projects. So I'll start by walking you through the steps that we'll take this morning in sharing our experience. So we'll start by setting the background and establishing the need for for the electronic system, for the data verification and improvement system that we developed. Walk you through the solution that we came up with, the process implementation steps for establishing and developing that solution. Share with you what some of the outcomes that we have are, and also share any valuable lessons for anyone who may be willing to set up a similar system. All right. So to set the background, of course, for us working within the PEPFAR space, we're programming towards epidemic control to achieve the 95, 95, 95 goals. And to do that, it has become increasingly more important to have high quality data to be able to measure the direction of our program results, of our interventions, and to see how well we're doing in closing the gap towards the 95, 95, 95 goals. But then we also work in an environment where increasingly the data collection systems that we use are more complex. For example, a lot of the projects now use electronic information systems that do not have any paper trail. And we've observed that there are now more complex challenges related to data quality. I think if you also layer that with the fact that for the last 2.5 years, we've been operating in the pandemic environment where there have been various cycles of lockdowns, and there are restrictions in terms of movement, and our field staff capacity to access sites has been limited. What we realized is that the existing data quality or data verification tools did not meet the current realities uh, of this environment that we're programming in. They were not, for example, set up for virtual data verifications where you may not have access to sites, and then the uniqueness of the complexity of the information systems, they were not responsive to that, just not having any paper trail at all and just using electronic systems end to end. And then the uniqueness of certain data quality threats that are observed in the field because of that push and drive to achieve epidemic control. It was clear that the existing data verification and improvement tools did not serve the purpose, and there was need for us to develop a more responsive, easy to use and deploy tool that can also facilitate virtual assessments of data quality. All right, so based on that need, at FHI 360, we revised our data collection and data verification and improvement guidelines, processes, and tools to be able to respond to the current needs in programming. So one thing we wanted was a tool that could help, of course, assess the accuracy of the data that has been collected and reported. But we also wanted a tool that was able to assess other attributes that contribute to the quality of the data. For example, how well recording and reporting tools are used um, at sites, and also and also have a system that helps us profile and categorize sites in terms of data quality, such that we can use that profile and categorization for more targeted technical assistance to these sites. It was also important to have a tool that allows us dig deeper to identify the root causes of any data quality issue that is identified, and to be able to come up with an improvement plan and action steps that mitigate or address these gaps that are identified during the assessment. Very important. It was, also necessary to have a tool that is flexible to be used on site or remotely when sites cannot be visited. So the use of the tool, the development of the data verification and improvement tool and guidelines necessitated us to have a system to be able to collate, analyze, and visualize data from the data verification and improvement exercises. So what we hoped this system was going to help us achieve was, one, to answer some basic questions. How well were projects? How well were countries adhering to the data verification and improvement standards and guidelines that we had established, and how well they were conducting and data verifications in line with those guidelines, to give us an opportunity, either at the field level or at project level, country level, and also at the level of FHI 360 HQ, to have an oversight into how well our partners and our supported sites were performing in terms of data quality, to understand the validity of the data that we as a partner are reporting to our donors, and identify areas where we needed to strengthen to improve data quality as a whole, and establish that trend for data quality improvements and verifications across the organization. All right. And so to set this up, or to achieve this, of course, we turned to DHIS2, and for us as an organization, we've been using DHIS2 across different countries, different projects for a long time now. A lot of our projects run either the aggregate, or most of our projects run either the aggregate or the tracker program. We also find ourselves in that position where we're also meant to support national governments to strengthen their systems. And this is, DHIS2 is being used by countries all over, and it's been adopted as the national HMIS for many countries. So for the countries that we support, particularly also for the local implementing partners that we support, uh, it was important that we select a tool that they were familiar with, and that they had the capacity to sustain and maintain going forward, even after the project closes out. We also had that need to integrate this data verification and improvement system with current data collection systems that we have centrally. So it was important for us to integrate that data verification model into our current aggregate reporting system that we had established at HQ. And also because of the flexibilities and functionalities, that DHIS2 comes with. This is something that we want to be able to implement an electronic system that can collect data on verifications in real time and can be used in the field. So, the functionality of mobile data collection, and also to be able to link that to automated dashboards was also one of the reasons why we selected DHIS2 for the electronic verification system. All right. So what we did was customize the data verification and improvement tool into the aggregate DHIS2 system that we have to be able to collect information on the different steps of data verification. So we have different steps for data verification model. We have a model for recording and reporting tools verification. We also have a separate model for beneficiary level verification, one for electronic verification, virtual verification of beneficiaries, as well as another one for home visits, physical verification of beneficiaries. And what we did was set this up for each of those verification steps, data verification, recording tools, and for each PEPFAR MER indicator, and also for the custom indicators that we use on our projects. The instance can be accessed in real time using laptops, tablets, or mobile devices, or where there is no internet connection. It can be, you can use it in an electronic Excel format, and then the data can be captured after the DQA. But we've been promoting the use of the real-time data capture, and a lot of our projects and our countries have been doing that. The setup that we established, we followed the data metadata structure to set that up. So if you look at the entry pages, it looks a lot like the setup in Datim. The difference is just the variables that are collected, are related to data quality. And what we did was, because the system is also integrated with our result reporting system. So where, for example, for data verifications, where we're looking at what was verified on site during the assessment against what has been reported, what is captured into the system is what was verified. And then we have custom scripts that pull data from the reporting system that we have to pull the record for that indicator for the period being assessed, for the value that was reported. And the verification factor and the concurrence is auto computed. Um, as I was saying, that we followed the data metadata structure, even the org units system that we org units that we use is exactly as it is set up in Datim. We just added some custom indicators to that to that to those models. So, using pivot tables within DHIS2, it was possible to use the DHIS2 API to access and process the data on the data verifications at all levels, and link that to Power BI dashboards. And then, so what that has enabled us to do is that we have a system for monitoring regular data quality activities, enabling our projects, our countries, and us at HQ to monitor adherence to our data verification and improvement standards, establish trends in data quality over time, and develop data quality profiles for supported sites. What the metrics generated from the assessment also help us do is to categorize sites, like I said, and prioritize areas of needed support so that we are able to develop an action plan and have more targeted support from our M&E teams to improve the data quality at these sites. All right. So how did we get here? Of course, the first step to setting up this system was a series of internal consultations to understand what the requirements are, what the objective of that system is, what the requirements are from the different, from the different levels of users, and that we did through a series of consultations with the different users, um, the program managers and directors, at HQ. What would you like to understand at this system? But also, very importantly, the country teams and the project teams to understand what their needs are from this monitoring system. What would you like to see, and how will this system better help support the sites that you backstop? So it was a consultative process to develop a set of requirements and develop objectives for the system. And for that, based on those requirements, we developed a project implementation plan. We set it up as a project breaking down the different steps of development, the different models, and to have each module development assigned to timelines, assigned for field testing and revision, and then come back to the table. So we had that project management system that was set up. To oversee and guide the implementation. Of course, with the collaboration of folks from the SI and folks from our information solutions team, the development of the module started, setting up the data entry fields, but also working on the custom scripts required to pull in the reported data, to auto calculate concurrence, and all the other specific requirements that we had. Following that was an elaborate process of field testing to use the tool on the field to look at the flow of the data entry, the access, the correctness of the computations and the calculations that we had done, for example, and then come back and use that to refine. So, for example, we had initially started off with having an aggregate system for certain steps of the data verification, and also using a tracker system for the beneficiary level verification, where you could document each beneficiary and the different attributes of data quality that were assessed for the record of each beneficiary. And we tested that. That particular step or profile didn't go very well, so we came back to the table to refine. And what we did was to have the outcome of the beneficiary assessment captured into the system. So there was a process of development, refinement, testing again before we got to the final product. And for the final product, for the DHIS2 system itself, we rolled out the trainings. Alongside the trainings for the use of the data verification and improvement in improvement tools, we cascaded that down to different countries, the different projects, and the different field offices within each country. And then we started working on the Power BI model and doing the connection to Power BI and setting up um, the different indicators and calculations for the different data quality attributes. So that came later, but that was also an iterative process where, as we were setting up the dashboards, we had several layers of review, to understand. We had done the requirement gathering to understand how the data should be visualized and what the different levels of users wanted to see. And then we refined that through different cycles to get to the final stage that we have now. All right, so what has been the result? The result is that we then have a data verification dashboard that allows us answer basic questions. First of all, which countries, which projects, in which sites are data verification and improvement activities being conducted. That's one. The expectation is that the data verification is conducted every quarter. So we have dashboards to help monitor adherence to that. And then we also have dashboards to look at the profile of the different countries and the different sites in terms of what is their overall data quality score, and have that categorization to the ones that meet standards, needs improvement, or needs urgent remediation. So we have those three categories, and these dashboards help us quickly identify which sites have that. We have the dashboards to look at the results for the different indicators in terms of data verification for the different PEPFAR MER indicators, as well as the custom indicators and dashboards to help us look at how well sites are adhering to data documentation standards. So how well they're keeping to standards for recording in their primary data collection tools, and also dashboards to look at the outcome of beneficiary verifications, which is very, very, very critical and very important in this age where data can be easily manipulated. One thing the dashboard also helps us do, because based on the categorization of the sites, what we do, we use that categorization to determine the next assessment date. So where a site has consistently met standards, then we don't because of balancing resources, we don't necessarily have to conduct the data verification every quarter. That can be done in a semi-annual period. So what the dashboard also does is it looks at the site categorization and also uses that site categorization to let team members know the expected dates for the next verification exercise. And what it does is, the result of that is, like I said, the support to sites for data quality improvement is more targeted. We're better able to direct resources to where it is needed, and so their efficiencies gained in the system. And of course, there is that outcome of, because we're focusing on where the support is needed. If you look at the verification and improvement trends, we're demonstrating that pattern of improvement over time in our sites and in our different countries. All right. So of course, what did we learn? Very critical for every stage and step of this development. It was very important for us to document the technical documentation for every stage, to document the processes and the agreements that were made during the consultation. So documentation as you go is very important. Don't wait till the end of the project to document. Um, it was very critical for us to have a broad overview of the vision, what we wanted to achieve in the long run. But very importantly is to do that, to achieve that vision in incremental steps. So building on, the separate models to start from the lowest hanging fruits and show results for that low hanging fruit, kind of like developing a proof of concept. And then once you have that, you have more stakeholder buy-in, more interest generated within the organization, and then you can gradually, incrementally build until you achieve the long vision. So it's and this is true for the implementation of the DHIS2 model. It's also true for the development of the dashboards in Power BI. It was very important for us not to replicate any steps and avoid any unnecessary rework to save time and have that agile mindset. So what we have now, we will continue to develop on. We will continue to improve on. As the need to revise our approaches for data quality come up, and also the need to build on additional layers of analysis for our data quality and improvement, data verification and improvement dashboards as well. All right. So, I mean, in summary, I mean, a real-time monitoring system for virtual and physical data verification activities was established with DHIS2. While there are some steps within the process flow that were complex, but this, we built on experience that we had gained over the years from using DHIS2, and we used that to achieve the results for and overcome the complex stages, and we continue to support that process as we go on. We now have a system for monitoring data verification and improvements, and we're seeing the trend, the actual trend of the improvements go up as a result of establishing this system and being able to draw on efficiencies to target support and strengthen our sites and our local partners. All right, so thank you very much for listening to me today. It's been a pleasure. If you have any questions or want to reach out, my email and my contact information is here. Have a lovely day.